I think that when you're committing to something, you want to make sure that it's right for you. The inner conviction has to be so strong. Say, look, I'm passionate about it. I have the spark in my eye. That's what I want to do for the next 10 years. And I think for us, it was so important to make sure that we did it with kind of eyes wide open. That's where we want to be. That's where we want to be, bringing value to our customers. And I think that journey made us a lot more whole, right? A lot more mature about the idea, about what we're going to do for many years now.
Welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. Just sit back, relax, and learn from the leaders of today. It's a journey. Each one is different, unique, inspiring. Let's get started. This episode is powered by J Ventures, a community-driven VC fund in Silicon Valley, in partnership with Leumitech, sponsored by Homeward Ventures, Hippo Insurance, Upwest Labs, Synergy Global, Hillel at Stanford, Leap, Birthright Excel, Serona Partners, and in media partnership with CTech. Welcome to a very special episode of 20-Minute Leaders. Meet Ofer Ben-Nun, a great friend and co-founder and CEO of Talon Cyber. Ofer is a seasoned entrepreneur with vast cybersecurity experience. He is the founder and CEO of Talon Cyber. Talon is reinventing cybersecurity for the distributed workforce by creating a secure and isolated browser-centric work environment for enterprises. Prior to Talon, he was the founder and CEO of Argus, the global leader in automotive cybersecurity, which was acquired by Continental in 2017. Following the acquisition, he served as a member of senior management at Continental and as CEO of Argus, leading it to protect over 60 million vehicles globally. Ofer served as captain in the IDF Cyber Intelligence Unit 8200 and was a team member of 2 Israel Defense Prize-winning projects. Ofer Ben-Nun, welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. How are you? Such a privilege to be part of the journey, getting to know you through the different milestones, and such a pride in the Israeli ecosystem, the work that you've done with Argus cybersecurity and in automotive cybersecurity, selling for $400 million, now working on a new startup with also an incredible co-founder on just as an important problem, if not even more important, in the work from home time span. If you look at your journey, Ofer, how do you define who you are? Are you a CEO, an entrepreneur, a cyber guy?
I think more than anything, I want to see myself as a problem solver because, generally speaking, it's all about challenges and how you address them in the most efficient way, practical, helpful for our customers. So, generally speaking, about solving problems. Any leader, generally, you are not needed when there are no problems, right? And as long as you've built your team right, then it means that you are able to lower the amount of challenges that you are actually required to be involved in. So, for me, entrepreneurship is how do you make sure that there are the least amount of things that you really need to solve, and when you are required, how you're able to get to the most efficient, time-wise, budget-wise, satisfaction-wise for the customer solutions.
If you're looking back at your journey with Argus, what was that like? Building a cybersecurity company, growing it beautifully within Tel Aviv, many employees, creating a lot of value, and then selling the ecosystem. When you look back at that, at that whole journey, what are you reflecting on? What stands out in your mind?
I think betting on something that wasn't trivial, so kind of creating a category for something that most people would say, why would anyone ever want to hack a vehicle? Why would it be interesting for anyone? Why will anyone ever think that there is something big enough here?
Now it's trivial. Back then.
Now it's trivial, but back then it was late 2013. We've spoken, I think, at the time for about 13 different funds for seed round.
Wow.
Almost all of them have said, look, it could be, you're an amazing team, but we're not sure that automotive cybersecurity will ever be a topic.
Right.
So the ability kind of to look forward, to think, to have the vision of understanding, look, that's where the world is going. This is the vacuum, this is the gap, that's where I want to invest the next few years of my life. For me, this is kind of a big vision, B, a bet, because it's always a bet, right? It could have been that there would have been no interest at no car manufacturer, right? And C is the execution, right? Building the right team to address this problem that is A, versatile, able kind of to move quickly, to change, and C is passionate about solving the problem.
Argus is becoming a success story in the Israeli ecosystem. And where are you at? I remember we took a walk, post-Argus, pre-Talon, and I was walking with a person who was constantly thinking about what else does the world need? And figuring out where are you in this landscape, because you've made it already. You've achieved what every young entrepreneur wants to achieve. And I kept trying to understand, what is going on in your mind and in your heart? What was going on during that time for you?
I think it was somewhere middle of last year. I think it was somewhere middle of 2020. And this was when Ohad and I were starting to discuss and think together. So Ohad Bobov, my co-founder today at Talon, we know each other from 80 to 100 days, right? Crazy to think it's about 15 years ago.
Oh my God.
Yeah, time flies. And
your name still resonates in the halls of the buildings, I can tell you that.
Thank you. And I think that kind of the opportunity to work with Ohad was really unique. So Ohad was the co-founder of Lakun Mobile Security. It was the first cyber solution for smartphones acquired by Checkpoint in 2015. And when Ohad came back to Israel in middle of 2020, thanks to COVID, obviously, the opportunity to work with him together on building something was something that obviously I don't have every day. And we started to think together, what can we bring to the world, right? What is the biggest value or the biggest solution that we can solve with our skill set? Because in a sense, I think that after we've been fortunate to be successful one time, it's our, maybe even to say obligation to the world kind of to do something that brings value.
Right. But it wasn't trivial exactly what it was going to be. It wasn't trivial that you're going to go back into cybersecurity.
No, not at all. You're right. Actually, initially, we really wanted to be outside of cyber. So we looked everything around cyber. And we really want to be actually digital healthcare.
Wow.
Yeah, at the time, we looked at how can we really make the life of people better, save potentially people's life. And the word that we were looking at was actually digital pathology. Because kind of something that was really interesting for us is that there are a few processes in the world of healthcare that computer must be doing a lot better. And one of that is pathology, because identifying patterns is something that the human mind is obviously not as good as computer capabilities. So we started to look into this world, but unfortunately more and more we understood that still the ecosystem of digital healthcare, we didn't feel it was that receptive to fantastic technology. So the challenges around networking of this ecosystem, the receptiveness, we felt that even if we bring a fantastic solution, the chances for that to make the impact that we wanted wasn't that, I would say, likely.
This rigorous thinking, though, and extrapolation as to, okay, we know that there's a huge pain point, which usually would be enough for somebody to go and start a company, but you added this extra layer of playing sort of a simulation from, so I guess, a more mature understanding of the market, understanding of how things play out. How was that experience, do you think, because each of you had unique experiences as entrepreneurs, did that add to sort of the thinking process and your ideation?
I would say the biggest blessing of a first-time entrepreneur is the naiveness.
Yeah.
And in a sense, I guess that we have lost some of this naiveness for good and bad, right? So the way that we now
Blessing and a curse.
blessing and a curse, yes. And we try kind of to identify to ourselves what are the key things that we want to see in a venture, right? And for us, the first number one would be impact on the world. How much value does it bring to people when we look 10 years down the line and kind of look back, say, have that brought enough value to enough people? Are we proud of that?
Right.
That was kind of number one.
That was sort of the North Star.
That's the North Star. Number two would be, will we enjoy from that process? And when we said part of our joy is this small successes during the way. And kind of, for me, what makes me very happy is getting customer feedback, right? Having someone calling me saying, Ofer, your product works fantastic. It helped me in this, and this. It saved me time, money, hopefully, in the world of cyber, in the world of healthcare, saved life, improved life, saved money, saved catastrophes. And the third thing is being successful. In our world, whether we like it or not, success is being measured in two things. A, profitability of the company. Two, valuation, exit, IPO. I'm hoping that in this journey, profitability would be leading the way rather than the latter.
But I mean, obviously, in today, there's a growing understanding that in order to make a real impact, it's correlated one-on-one with the profitability of the business, and that is how you make it at the end. And I think that circulates back to the North Star of the company. So you're at that intersection, and something happens in the COVID times that changes the world, changes the way people work, changes the way we interact with our companies, with our devices. What is the understanding that the two of you got to when you started out Talon?
So it was like that around June, when we kind of brainstormed, June 2020, when we kind of brainstormed on different ideas. The idea of Talon came forward in a very strong way, understanding that post-COVID there are three trends that are going to change dramatically for the next decade around the world of IT, right?
Right.
The first one is the fact that people will work hybrid for the next 10, 15 years. It will not be home only, it will not be office only, it will be distributed all around the world. We're going to be a lot more agile around where do we work from, how.
I remember there were months that there were endless articles of people debating whether it would be all home, all office. I kept thinking, why are you wasting it? Obviously, it's going to be some model. Let's focus on what we need to develop now to make sure that model works instead of arguing whether it's all or nothing, right?
For sure, it will be a hybrid, whatever mixture it will be.
Yeah.
The second point is around the explosion of SaaS, right? So, every single customer of ours which we are discussing with saying, look, we are either complete the migration to SaaS or in super speedy journey to do that.
Or we need somebody to help us do it because we need to already do it.
Exactly. And number three is the variety of devices, right? Because we have now corporate devices, personal devices, contractors, third parties, employees which are working from their Windows, Mac devices, Linux, Android, iOS. And we try to think with all of these three trends. A, what has changed, which obviously you have less visibility, you have less control. You need something that kind of gives you the same security posture across every device, but you also need to be very respectful to employee privacy, user experience becoming key, productivity is kind of becoming the holy grail of everyone, right? So organizations stopped measuring how much do employees are working, but everyone are focusing on productivity. What is the output? So we need things which are helping this output to go forward. And with that kind of way in mind, is there a commonality to all of that? And that's where kind of the idea of browser came to our mind somewhere middle 2020. But we still said, look, just before we are committing our next decade to software on IT security, we paused for a second, had kind of this journey, digital healthcare.
So you had this idea before you went to digital healthcare?
Yeah, we had it in June. We parked it, kind of said, okay, we have this. We are pausing for a second.
Wow, that's fascinating.
Investing 4 months really on the world of digital healthcare. Felt that we will not be able to make the impact that we want to do. And then somewhere in December, we decided that that's where we want to focus the next decade. And from there it was...
I think that's also a huge part of the maturity of the entrepreneur, saying, you know, we have this great idea. We're not just going to go tomorrow morning and go all out without having that conviction. Let's make sure we understand what's happening, scour the landscape, get that conviction. And I'm guessing that when you went back to this idea after 4 months of letting it sit and bubble, the relationship with it was a little bit healthier, perhaps, and a little bit more mature.
Exactly, because I think that when you're committing to something, you want to make sure that it's right for you. The inner conviction has to be so strong. Say, look, I'm passionate about it. I have this spark in my eye. That's what I want to do for the next 10 years. And I think for us, it was so important to make sure that we did it with kind of eyes wide open. That's where we want to be. That's where we want to be, bringing value to our customers. And I think that journey made us a lot more whole, right? A lot more mature about the idea, about what we're going to do for many years now. So I think that the route was critical.
So December, going back, a few months later, announcing the biggest seed round ever in the Israeli ecosystem, $26 million to start this journey. And obviously, you know, a lot of people are, you know you and know your co-founder and you know, I think immediately anybody that looks at what you're doing, you know, it makes sense. I mean, and it makes the timeliness, which is obviously so much in the startup world, it's there, and the execution team, the location is beautiful. But I want to get to know Ofer a little bit. And you as a leader, second-time CEO, in Argus, you were leading teams in the IDF, doing phenomenal things at 8200. What are you taking from you, sort of as a manifest to yourself, as you're transitioning from Argus to this next journey? And you're saying, I'm committing to now 10 years of making an impact in this company. What else is Ofer bringing with him from your previous experiences?
I think the most important thing that I've learned during that process is bring people who are A, leaders themselves, B, super, I would say, mature in how they think. They don't necessarily need to have 20 years of experience, but necessarily they need to be with mature thinking, very independent in their capabilities, and allow them to run a lot faster. So kind of as a first timer, I remember that I was a lot more involved in every single decision. And now I'm kind of making sure that whenever someone asks me a question, immediately ask, first I would like to understand your suggestion. What do you think is right? And the number of times that you kind of come in and say, no, I would like to do something different, has to always be reducing, because it means A, you've brought the right people,
right,
and B, these people are growing, having the bigger perspective. They understand where the company needs to get. And when the vision is articulated right, where kind of, as you mentioned, the North Star, where do you wanna get, then everything is moving a lot faster. So bring the right people. And when I'm saying right, it's not necessarily professionally right. Even more important would be that they're right from the inside, right? Good people, friendly, fun. That look, we are.
You don't hear those adjectives much from CEOs that are looking for their first talent. That's different.
We're spending here so many hours, and look, it's not as if I'm doing that because otherwise I won't have work, right? I do it because I want to build something, to enjoy the ride.
But why work so hard, Ofer? You've done it.
It's a
You've
hobby.
made it. It's a what?
It's a hobby.
It's
In a sense, great things. Look, it's people ask me what's my hobby, and I said building things, right? Working. Like work is fun, right? I'm finishing the day here, let's say 10 p.m. I continue home.
A few minutes ago, you told me a later hour, but I'll keep 10 p.m. for now.
Then, another 2 or 3 hours potentially at home. But in a sense, I do it because I enjoy it, not because I have to, right? The interaction with the people, the interaction with the customers, solving these problems, right? Thinking, okay, we got this feedback from a customer, we didn't nail this, and this. The day tomorrow, you have to come back and think, okay, what do I change? What do I want to do better? How do I learn from it? How do I grow from it?
In your kishke, inside, you're coming every day. You're moving very, very fast. Does it feel different? Are you different?
Certainly. I think that I'm different in how I think about things, the maturity. How do I prioritize, right? I just remember in how many decisions I was involved that if I would have done it again, I would certainly wasn't involved in this, because I think that we should be involved in building the strategy, showing the compass, where we want to go, having fantastic team to work with us and allow them the freedom to run as fast as they can. And the other point, which is generally an unfair advantage, right? We're able today to attract a lot stronger talent compared to the previous journey, because with all due respect to where we were 8 years ago, the talents that we have here not necessarily would have come and worked with me in the previous journey, right? They could have had a lot potentially better alternatives at that point. And now, they trust Ohad and I better. They feel that we'll be more receptive to their needs and more open to their talent to go out. We'll allow them a lot more freedom to run and execute, and hopefully we'll make better decisions all in all. So I think it's a little bit different anyhow, right?
I just have to say, Ofer, that this inspires me. What really inspires me, beyond the fact that I think you're building an incredible product in the perfect timing, in this perfect storm, which is a blessing and a curse for the world. Again, the maturity that I'm getting, and the progression that you're articulating here from the initial journey, which was also very, very successful, but the lessons you're learning, especially as a leader, and looking at yourself and continuously improving, both on the ideation phase, which was, I think it's amazing that he put it aside for a little bit to try different things and then got that conviction and came back. But then also on a day-to-day and how you're managing the team, and you're not just looking for the best engineers, but you're looking for the best leaders that are also good engineers, are also good product managers, but people who can lift the organization and build the right culture from the get-go. Ofer, best of luck. Toda rabba. This was amazing.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.